We're live. What's happening, people? Rotoworld Fantasy Baseball Q&A. I'm James Schiano here alone this week. My guy Eric Samolsky taking a little trip, taking a little vacation, taking some time for himself. We love to see that this time of year. But I know you guys got questions. I'm ready. I got answers. It was a huge weekend in baseball. Some major prospect call-ups with the August 15th deadline passing for rookie eligibility for next season, so teams can maintain rookie status on these players and get their PPI picks next year if those players place for Rookie of the Year or wind up placing for Cy Young or MVP awards in the future. But Nola McLean, Samuel Basayo, Dylan Beavers, it was a hot weekend to get these guys out there, and it's kind of a lot of stuff to answer. But I'll start getting to your guys' questions right now. If you have questions about those guys, hit me up for some of those too. But starting off here with my guy Jeddah. Jeddah, best NA stash for the stretch run. JJ Weatherholt, Christian Campbell, or another. I'm reluctant to think that. I want the Cardinals to call up Weatherholt, but it's not really the Cardinal way to give a rookie they just drafted last year a spot. I know Arenado's out right now, and then Brandon Donovan's out too, so there actually is some space in the infield. But with Christian Campbell starting to mix in center field, like that team's crowded too with Nathaniel Lowe. If you want to stash one of these guys, I might, switching from what I thought last week, might opt to say Weatherholt, but I think right now the weird stash could be Andrew Painter just because of the nature of the Zach Wheeler injury. I know Painter doesn't have very good results at AAA, but it's a situation where that team kind of knows they need to find some lightning in a bottle, and he is someone that is functional for that. Similar dad question here, JJ Weatherholt or Bryce Eldridge. That's another one where I don't really see that being either of these guys, honestly. Maybe for a week or two, but I don't know if you're getting enough as an NA stash from these players through the end of this season to possibly, if you have to stash one of them, I guess I would lean Weatherholt because it seems like they both have a lot of experience AAA and they're both putting a lot of numbers there. I don't know, it's a tough one. And then another one here from Dad. The likelihood we see Jonah Tong or Robbie Snelling before the end of the year. Asking because I get to keep one prospect as a freebie if they're not called up by year's end. So the Jonah Tong situation is interesting for the Mets because there were some reports that he actually had to get on the 40-man roster this year to avoid the Rule 5 draft. But now looking at Fangraphs, it actually is next season. So I think there's less of an impetus for the Mets to bring him up. But just seeing the way that he pitched in his first game at AAA with no roadblock whatsoever, the Mets understanding how little they've gotten from their rotation and kind of the back, not like the back end of their bullpen, well, the back end of their bullpen recently, but the lower parts of their bullpen, the guys who are like kind of expected to be swing guys. The Mets seem like they might be going down a road to try and do something similar to what the Detroit Tigers did last year, this time of year, where they had Tarek Skubal as like the starting pitcher glue that held everything together. But then apart from that, it kind of just wound up being like you pitch 3 innings, you pitch 4 innings, you pitch 2 innings, you pitch 4 innings. And seeing Jonah Tong make one start in AAA and look dominant. AAA uses a different baseball than AA. It's the Major League Baseball, so a lot of times pitchers go to AA, AAA, and watch their pitch movement change a little bit. Jonah Tong still had the elite vert on his fastball. His changeup looked amazing. Those 2 pitches were so good at AAA, he didn't even have to go to his curveball. So seeing that, it feels like there actually is a chance he does get called up. I think that's like a bold prediction of mine this season, that you see him get called up. But Robbie Snelling probably has a better chance to open next year doing more in the Marlins rotation. Just pulling up his AAA stats here in a second. Like, we don't know what this Marlins rotation is going to look like next year. Well, on the flip side, it doesn't feel like it, but the Mets rotation is likely going to be very, very, very crowded next year with a lot of options that aren't like the sexiest or the coolest options in the world, but it will be hard to see Jonah Tong getting a starting role before the middle of the season, where Snelling, who also just got to AAA like Tong, I think he's a little bit more advanced. Yeah, he's actually young too. They're both 21 years old. I just think there's a better chance for him to get into mix into this rotation sooner than Tong next year, while understanding I think Tong has a much, much higher potential than Robbie Snelling. Now my guy Charlie, coming over from the YouTube channel. Do you trust Cade Horton versus Milwaukee tonight and Arrighetti against Detroit? In this matchup, I trust Arrighetti more than Horton. I think Arrighetti, while we haven't seen great feel for him so far, definitely not great command on his pitches, I just would rather face the Detroit offense in Detroit rather than Milwaukee anywhere right now, because the Milwaukee Brewers are unstoppable force. But then when you just look at the Brewers lineup, it doesn't look the most menacing. I don't know. I know we're in the middle of the season. We're basically at the end of the season. They have the best record in baseball by far. But you have to take every single one of these matchups like day by day and objectively based on what the offense looks like. And Horton has been hot recently. But Horton's been hot recently in more of a feel way than like an overpowering stuff way. That's also a feel that Arrighetti hasn't shown yet at all as like a breaking ball guy who's really good at spinning it, but not being able to find that consistency after all the time off that he had. Horton, I think I trust Horton tonight more than the consensus, but I still think I trust Arrighetti more than Horton, which is kind of those might seem like crazy things to say, but that's kind of how I feel about those two right now. From track right here, Jesus Sanchez or Isaac Collins, 10-team points. Thanks, GOAT. You're the GOAT, track. Isaac Collins for sure. I love Jesus Sanchez. I think Jesus Sanchez, while he hasn't had a great last week with the Astros, the fact that he's still hitting towards the top of that lineup is great. But Isaac Collins right now is an unstoppable force. I'm hoping that he didn't really lose a lot of momentum going on the paternity list over the weekend, but you can't really go away from Isaac Collins at this moment. Next question right here from Fantasy Sports. Drop any of Lugo, Horton, Jacob Lopez for Nola McClain. I also have Bryce Miller and Bradish, who's a good last game of the minors. What's up, Fantasy Sports? I think you had me this one on Twitter, but I think I missed it yesterday. So from this list, again, I know Jacob Lopez has been amazing right now. And this week he has 2 starts at home, so I definitely am not dropping him. But in the coming weeks, I'm not obsessed with Jacob Lopez moving forward, even though I do like him. Whereas Bryce Miller and Bradish, I'm a little bit afraid of what both of them are going to be able to do at the major league level right now, just because Bradish, I think it's a big thing of where the Orioles know that they're ready to compete again next year, just seeing the way that this season kind of fell apart for them and the fact they played like a 90-win pace since they fired Brandon Hyde. I think they know that next year is the year they want to be in the mix. They know that Bradish needs to be the guy at the top of their rotation if they want to be in the mix next year. With that, he had some good results in the minors, some bad results in the minors. I'm not sure how much they do push him at the major league level. I think you will wind up seeing Kyle Bradish make some short starts, 4 or 5 innings, 60 to 80 pitches, just to kind of get loose, air it out, and make sure that he and the team knows what you're getting from him. I think it's a lower ceiling, but a higher floor. Where Bryce Miller, I think the Mariners are going to throw Bryce Miller back in the rotation and say, hey, we would like to see if you can be Bryce Miller from last year again. I think all of us fantasy baseball want to see if he can be that Bryce Miller too. With that, though, if he stinks again, Bryce Miller easily gets the plug pulled because we know he's pitching with the loose bodies in his elbow. We know that he and the team have already said that he's going to get surgery in the offseason. So if anything goes wrong for Miller again, just like it went wrong last time when he came back, plug pulled, season over, that's it, gone. So I think he's higher reward because you have a better chance of Bryce Miller getting back into this rotation and being a regular guy. But if anything goes wrong, it's over. Where the flip side of it, Bradish will give you maybe if it's more of a deeper league play because you're probably getting some strikeouts and okay ratios just to give yourself, again, 4 or 5 innings at a time. So I would be looking to drop one of those guys. It might honestly be Bradish for the time being because I would be absolutely rushing to get Nolan McClain on my fantasy teams. He looked like an absolute stud in his first start on Saturday. Got a couple questions here from Michael. First one being, who's the better keeper, Baldwin or Augustine Ramirez? Are either better than Bellinger or Trevor Story? Well, Bellinger's weird in this context because these are catchers. Catchers are always much harder to get to value. I mean, now off the catchers kind of hit a new level of the last couple of years. We got like 10 to 12 starting catchers in fantasy baseball that we feel comfortable with. I probably prefer Drake Baldwin. I like Augustine Ramirez a lot, but depending on your league type and format, Augustine Ramirez is not much of an on-base guy. Augustine Ramirez is more prone, I think, to cold stretches moving forward just because he's someone who's a bit more of a free swinger. He still makes good swing decisions, but he doesn't really take his walks. Like, he's going to be really relying on his power for his production, where Drake Baldwin has a lot more of a well-rounded offensive game. And while neither of these guys are good defensively, Augustine Ramirez, I think right now, is absolutely hands down the worst defensive catcher in the league. And the Marlins are really just trying to shoehorn him into that catcher spot to make his bat play up better. Where Baldwin is fine behind the plate, he's not great. Other runners, other teams are very aggressive against him, but he's much better behind the plate than Ramirez. So in this case, I would say Baldwin, and I think they are both a better keeper than Story. I know Story's been a great feel-good story this year, sorry for the pun, but I still don't know what we're getting from Trevor Story in the coming years. And I think a big thing that saved Trevor Story's fantasy value is just how efficient of a base stealer he's been. Most stolen bases in the league without being caught at 21. Even if next year that just becomes a regular league average stolen base success rate around, I think it's like 18, 19% right now. Let's say he has 17 stolen bases, been caught 4 times instead of the 21, that 22 now. That does make his season look a bit different. And Trevor Story has the bat speeds ticked all the way down. The swing decisions are still poor. There's a good chance this is the last good season of Trevor Story's career. And I think where Drake Baldwin, you might have like an all-star caliber catcher in your future there. Next one here from Michael. Is Jakob Marsee for real? Potential keeper, or is just playing out of his mind? He's definitely for real relatively. Like, I saw some people on Twitter this morning comparing this to the Kyron Paris shoot up of early May, the great Kyron Paris of May. But Jakob Marsee makes much better swing decisions. He makes much more contact. That profile itself, I think, will play for Marsee for good. Like, do I think that Jakob Marsee is going to be like a 25 homer guy, 800 OPS guy for the course of his career? I don't really think so. But he's someone I can see being like a 15-30 guy for sure. Like, he could be a different version of Steven Kwan, playing really good outfield defense. He's actually playing center field, which helps him as well. But just making excellent swing decisions, making contact with everything, drawing his walks, which I guess Kwan doesn't do as much, but just being one of these contact profile guys that's able to access some raw power, even with below league average bat speed, but still bat speed that's not like all the way down low league average, and a guy that seems like he has the propensity to pull fly balls through this early sample. So I see Marsee as a guy that can probably stretch up to being nearly a top 100 pick in drafts next year. Again, thinking about the profile of like 280, 15, 30. That should be the benchmark for Marsee. I think if you're expecting that and you get more, then you won't be like kind of leaving yourself holding a bag here, depending on who you're keeping him over. Next question got here. Thank you guys for all the questions. A lot of engagement right here for the solo show on a Monday afternoon. I appreciate you guys all for that. From Harry, head-to-head points in order. Love points leagues. Victor Robles, Jack Caglione, O'Neill Cruz, Monty, and Butler. Who's Monty there? Give me who's Monty on that one? Montgomery. I don't know who Monty is. Hit me up with Harry. Tell me who Monty is right now in a question down below. But with this, I think the Robles situation is weird. He looks like he probably gets suspended after the antics that he pulled on with Joey Estes in his rehab game on Sunday. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Joey Estes hit Victor Robles with a pitch in a rehab game the week before. Joey Estes hit Robles with a pitch, and apparently Joey Estes also hit Victor Robles with a pitch last year. So I think that there is some history there, some bad blood, but Victor Robles threw his bat and tried to fight him on the field and then threw a whole bucket of sunflower seeds all the way on the field. Look, he just had like kind of a major freak out. It wasn't that cool. If you desperately need steals, I guess him. I don't know though what's going to happen with suspension for a situation like that. It's kind of really an unprecedented situation Victor Robles in right now, where Jack Caglione, we know he had the hamstring. We know how poorly how poorly he produced through his first stint of the season. He's gone back to AAA. He's tearing the cover off the ball. I'm sure he's back in the Royals outfield this week. O'Neill Cruz with a concussion. It feels a little bit vague. Again, who's Monty right now? Who's Montgomery? Am I just pulling a major brain fart right now and thinking about, Colson. If that's Colson Montgomery is my number one absolutely in this group. No doubt about that. And then it's kind of becomes between Lawrence Butler and Jack Caglione for who you actually want to roll with, because both haven't played up to their standards this year. Lawrence Butler plays in a much better park. He has a much better lineup around him, but he's sitting against lefties. Where Caglione, you're kind of just hoping for the lightning in a bottle to hit. So if it was me right now, I'd probably prefer Butler because he's healthy, but I'm very intrigued by what Jack Caglione can do for the rest of the year. So another one here from Bet on It Guy. Blaze Alexander, worthy of a roster spot once Jordan Lawler is called up. I know it feels like a foregone conclusion that Jordan Lawler is being called up, but I think Jordan Lawler is that classic case of a guy right now who's just being so vastly overrated in fantasy baseball and prospect circles just because of the ratings he had a few years ago, where we're going on years for Jordan Lawler where he hasn't really been consistent. He hasn't really been able to stay healthy. And it's hard to see the same level of upside. I know he's still only 23 years old, but this kind of vast up and down, he does still produce in AAA, but you kind of have to throw out all these AAA results for the PCL. I'm not as in on Jordan Lawler as I think most other people or as the field in any way, shape, or form. I also not that in on Blaze Alexander either. I'm ready to hold Blaze Alexander while he's hot right now, but I don't think that either of these players are super priority type players for the time being. My guy Scott over here, how many innings do you think McLean will be able to throw for the rest of the season? This is a big thing right now because Nolan McLean, this is only his first year being a full-time pitcher in the Mets organization. Even as of last April, May, he was a two-way player who was taking regular reps at DH and doing hitting work while he was still progressing as a pitcher. So I think that while he's right now just barely past his career high in innings pitched, you get 30 more. 30 more from Nolan McLean. He's right now at 118, 119 in the season, where last year he got up to 110. I think that means he has 140 max through all levels. And I don't know. I know the Mets right now still have their eyes set on the playoffs. They have to actually get there first. And Nolan McLean looks like he'll be an incredibly valuable part of if they actually can find themselves to the postseason. But I do not think that they're going to push him that much. I don't know if you even get one quality start from Nolan McLean through his rookie, like this like first try of his rookie season, his first cup of coffee, just because the Mets seem like they're going to be careful, limiting him to 70 to 90 pitches. We know he's not going to be a guy that can hold a very low whip because of how many walks we saw him have in that debut. Even though as great as he was, the command is crazy. It's just with that many breaking balls, you're kind of inviting walks onto yourself, being able to command pitches less than if you're throwing fastball. So I love Nolan McLean. I think he's going to get us, again, 25 to 40 spectacular innings as we close this season out. But with that, I wouldn't expect him to be a horse moving forward. Here's one from Ty. Third base help, lost Muncy. Got Cole Montgomery playing third base. Lenny Sosa too. Any ideas rest of season points league? I think you just got to roll with those two guys. I think that's, in terms of losing Muncy, that's a fine third base tandem to have right now. I guess take a look at Kyle Carlos too. Rockies third baseman who was called up. It's a contact-heavy profile, and they have so many home games the rest of the season. So that's one. Another one coming here from Bet On It guy. Orioles called up both their top prospects. Which do you guys think is more rosterable, Bieber or Basayo? I think they're both heavily rosterable. I like their both their profiles a lot. Basayo is a freak. He's a freak of nature. Samuel Basayo should. I know it's a little crowded with catcher. This time of year, there's probably like 12 really good catchers in the league, but like there's Francisco Alvarez just got hurt, so there's one fewer. Samuel Basayo has an offensive profile where he couldn't be Nick Kurtz. Like he has that in between the power, the patience, the plate discipline, how much he lifts the ball, how much he pulls the ball. He can go on a Nick Kurtz tear. Like that is the 100th percentile outcome for Samuel Basayo over the next 6 weeks. So I'm not in the business of getting cute with holding on to like the 9th or 10th best catcher in baseball if it will cost me a shot at Basayo. That's a big risk. You could be losing a lot of consistent production, but he is that good. Where Beavers is more of just an outfielder that does a little bit of everything. And that kind of plays more so in a deep league. I don't think I'm rushing to pick up Dylan Beavers in my regular 10-team league, but looks like the profile is great. Like the strides he's made the last few years are awesome. He was a high draft pick for them. We know that as a first-round guy. He's got power. He's got speed. You hope more so gives you just a handful of homers and stolen bases, where Basayo, you hope goes on a run that can just change your entire season. Bet on a guy, another one. Shane Bieber worth a roster spot upon return. Last-ditch effort for... Yeah, I think so. I think the fact that the Blue Jays went out and got him, traded the pretty legit pitching prospect in Cal Stevens to get him, I think that tells us what they think about him. And what they think about him is that he's going to be a pitcher they rely on moving forward. It is curious, though, about what the Blue Jays wind up doing with their rotation when Bieber's ready, which does seem like it's soon. I know his first rehab start got stopped, so he does have some time on his 30-day rehab clock still. But, I mean, Gausman, Scherzer, Bassett have all been quite good as, like, middle rotation stalwart old guys. Eric Lauer's been really good, too. I'm sure he's the guy that gets bumped, but he's been a very reliable pitcher for them every fifth day. And Jose Barrios has stunk, but you also don't bump him through rotation. You also probably don't go to a six-man rotation with these long-term veterans like Barrios, Gausman, Scherzer, and Bassett. So I am curious. I think they will let this Bieber rehab stint go to the last possible day. But taking the signal and what they told us by how much they traded to go get Shane Bieber and make a World Series push, that they believe what he can do the rest of the season. So if they believe, we should believe until we're proven otherwise. Thank you guys again for all the questions. Need a quick sip of water, even though I'm all alone here. Another one from Harry. Which two matchups should I avoid this week? Horton versus Milwaukee, Robbie Ray versus San Diego and Milwaukee, Seth Lugo, Texas and Detroit, Bryce Miller, Philly, Yuri Perez, Toronto. Definitely Bryce Miller, Philly. I don't like starting pitchers that first start off the injured list, especially against the Philadelphia Phillies lineup, which has been hot and cold this year, but is objectively a very good lineup. And then otherwise here, I think you may have missed the second start from Cade Horton this week. So if these are all a bunch of two starters you're deciding between, I roll with two starters almost blindly in these situations. So if it's the two star from Cade Horton or the one star from Yuri Perez, I just take the two starters and trust them blindly, because if you get two bites at that apple, you just have a better shot to accumulate more and do better. So I'm a two-star guy through and through in this situation. More from Bet On It guy. Really need help with stolen bases. Which would you rather have off waivers? Victor Robles, Jose Caballero, Jake Myers. Probably from this list, it's Victor Robles. Also, bet on a guy. Every single Wednesday, I do a column for Rotoworld where I go over stolen base trends in the league. It's not so much about which players are stealing bases, it's more so about which teams and which catcher pitcher tandems is easier to steal bases against. So it's highlighting those matchups, highlighting the people that are struggling there. So if you need to get creative and flexible and try and stream stolen bases, I got you. Check my piece last Wednesday, check the piece this Wednesday. From this list, I think upon return, you probably get the most consistent playing time out of Victor Robles because he gives that Mariners outfield a jolt defensively. Because I know Julio Rodriguez is a great defensive center fielder, but and Robles last year was playing corners too. But Dominic Canzone, while he's a fantastic hitter, he's come back to earth a bit defensively. But maybe he's not even a full-time player. But Jose Caballero has been nothing close to a full-time player with the Yankees, and Jake Myers has lost some playing time as the season's gone on, just especially with the way the Astros have rebuffed that outfield. Myers might actually be the guy, but I don't know. He just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe he comes in and takes that spot from Jacob Melton, but I'm really not sure how. These are like 3 part-time players, stolen base guys. You're not. These are just really not so good options. Again, I think Robles just gave you the most stolen base upside with the highest, hopefully guarantee of playing time. But that's what you just got to roll with right now. Skywalker. When can we see Austin Riley? Do you think Stowers is back in 15 days? Austin Riley, it just seems like they're just going to kind of let this go. I don't see the Braves rushing him back, even though it is kind of their mantra to let their star players play like as much as possible. But I'm stashing him in IL spots right now where I have them to see if we can do it. And then otherwise, I'm not really holding my breath. Same kind of goes for Kyle Stowers. I do not think he's back in 15 days. It's no oblique strain. Obliques are fickle. I don't think the season ended for Kyle Stowers, but I think it's at least 3 weeks, 4 weeks out, which in this case is probably not anyone you can hold right here. So let's keep moving on here. This and that. A couple other questions. Looks like Riley will be activated tonight. If we got Austin Riley activation tonight, that changes everything I just said. If that's the case, then yeah, get Austin Riley back in your lineups. I did not think that Austin Riley having a second abdominal strain within a month is someone. Oh, he's in baseball activities. It's funny this Braves team is now just like let's roll out. Let's let all these guys play and let's actually let them get hot before the end of the season. That's a good thing to keep an eye on with the Braves for pitching matchups this week. Because as of this time last week, the Braves were one of the best lineups to stream against. Now with Ronald Acuna back, they go to the middle of the pack. Austin Riley comes back to get much closer to the top, probably like a top 10 lineup in the league again. So that's a big key there with Austin Riley. I did not know that. So thank you for keeping me hooked on there, Jeddah. Next one here from Frank. Have to laugh. I traded for Class A, 6 saves, and Hader 0 innings in separate trades. You do have to laugh about that. You got to laugh about stuff that happens in fantasy baseball this time of year. The Hader injury stinks. He seems done. Same with the Wheeler injury stinks. He seems done. So it does feel like those guys, our seasons are a bit over, which kind of stinks for the time being. Harry, thanks for bringing me up with the call to Montgomery. Luckily, I did get there by myself. TM. I have Randy Rodriguez, but San Francisco are not getting many wins. Just 2 successful save chances since Doval was traded. How would you rank these relief pitchers? Tanner Scott, Randy Rodriguez, Will Vest, and Kyle Finnegan. So I'm going through this with Randy Rodriguez too myself. I was so in on him when he got anointed the closer role after Doval was sent out in the trade deadline. And the few save opportunities he's had, he's blown half of them as well. So it's not really a great situation. There's definitely a big mental thing that happens for these guys when they move from high leverage middle innings to the 9th inning. Like there's just a little bit extra oomph, a little bit extra gusto on that. So that could be something Randy Rodriguez going at. But now on the flip side, you got Tanner Scott, who also, because I think there was some injury news with Kirby Yates, was on his way back too. And when Tanner Scott went out, he wasn't really a very reliable 9th inning option for the Dodgers either. So I think that you're probably still getting a shared save role with Tanner Scott. But you're not getting that Randy Rodriguez. So all you are hoping for is that the Giants win games. Where now we're seeing something so annoying happening in Detroit, where it's Will Vest versus Kyle Finnegan. And Vest looked like absolutely the setup man, just kind of the high leverage fireman. Then he comes in and gets 2 saves over the weekend. Then he comes back and does the 8th inning again on Friday, or Sunday, where it seems like they just trust Will Vest more against the better hitters in the other lineups, where Kyle Finnegan just winds up getting the save opportunities. So oddly from this grouping, I think I still do like Finnegan. We have the best combination of at least getting a lion's share of 9th inning role plus a team winning games. Where Scott, again, he's still out. He's still in his rehab assignment. And it looks like him, Yates, and Michael Kopech all come back around the same time and all kind of cannibalize each other's save opportunities like we saw when they were all healthy last time. So I think that I might put Tanner Scott last on this list, or maybe even just ahead of Will Vest. But I think I'm still rolling with Finnegan and Randy Rodriguez over the other 2 guys on this list. Here's one from Frank. Lost Stowers. Ed, Miguel Andujar, Varsho, Profar, average in OPS league. Average league really hurts Dalton Varsho, and OPS kind of hurts Miguel Andujar. I don't like Jurickson Profar, but he's weirdly looks like the safest guy from this grouping. I'm going to go pull up the Braves lineup yesterday because I wanted to just make sure he was still hitting leadoff ahead of Ronald Acuna Jr. still. But at that point, yeah, if Jurickson Profar is hitting leadoff on this Braves team with Olsen, Acuna, Ozuna, the new and improved Michael Harris, and soon to be Austin Riley hitting behind him, he now becomes a really just annoying but a fantastic option in these in leagues right now because he's going to accumulate stuff and pitchers are going to be give him a lot of stuff to hit. Best bone here. How do you rank May, Pepio, Giolito, and Sugano 5x5 rest of the season? Just off the cuff, Giolito, Pepio, May, Sugano. I know that May's pitched really well of late and Pepio has pitched poorly of late, but I'm still trying to keep on what's been keeping on with all season. But the Red Sox have manipulated May's stuff a good bit. We're seeing more colors. We're seeing a better propensity to throw the sweepers, even inside to the lefties. And it seems like these changes are taking place in a positive way, even though that ballpark is still terrible. I also don't think that we're going to see Dustin May pitch deeply into games still, where I think we'd have a better chance of seeing Ryan Pepio do that, which would push him ahead of May for me, with Sugano again coming in last. Should I add Basayo even if he won't start on my team? Catcher Perez, first base Kurtz Alonso, and DH Otani. Yes, I mean, there is a world where he could be starting over Perez in a few weeks if he goes lightning hot like he can. And also, yeah, if you have the roster spot, he is that good of a hitter. You are kind of back into a corner here where you're not going to be able to do this. Just a great year for you in the corner spots, getting Nick Kurtz. But if you have the spot, get him someone else can. And if you need to drop him in a week, drop him in a week. No big deal. Here's Dad. Shout out Dad every single week with Dad. Matt Shaw is 22-72, 22 for 72, 17 RBIs, 14 runs, 3 steals, and 338 on-base percentage. Will he continue to produce rest of season, or is this just a streak? I tend to think he will continue to produce rest of season. We've seen Matt Shaw make a lot of big changes to himself and his game over the course of this year to try and deliver on the promise of a top prospect. And even with, I don't know if you guys watch a lot of Cubs games, but watching Matt Shaw swing, it looks like someone who I can't even believe would be successful at the major league level. He's closed off to the point of where like Giancarlo Stanton is closed off, one of the most closed stances in the league. When he came up those first few weeks in that series they played in Japan, he did have the most closed stance in the league, but he also has some of the lowest bat speed in the league. When you're a closed hitter, you have less time to react. I mean, you have less time to move there, so you have to have a faster bat if you are going to be that close. So Matt Shaw has progressively opened up more so as season's gone on. It looks like he's gotten more comfortable with his pitch recognition as well, which is helpful for him because it seems like he needs to decide much sooner than most other people. I think you will continue to see him be productive for the rest of the year. I think something like this, 330 OBP is a little high for someone who I really don't see hitting for that much power extra base hit wise, but you're going to get stolen base and you're going to get a couple of home runs. So I think in terms of that, as long as he's playing every day, which does seem like Matt Shaw is right now, I'm rolling with that. Another one here from Bet On It Guy. I have Salvia catcher. Would you add Basayo or Del Castillo and play them over him? So I actually someone had this exact same question about Salvador Perez versus Samuel Basayo. I'm looking to get Samuel Basayo on any single team that's possible right now, regardless of who the catcher is. I have just because you might get freaky production for the rest of the season. Like again, like in terms of just profile, it's not that dissimilar to Nick Kurtz. We did see Nick Kurtz go through a bit of a period of getting used to major league pitching, and then we saw Nick Kurtz be the best hitter in baseball for the last 3 months. So I think there's a world where Samuel Basayo has a 2-week stretch where you can get like 8 home runs, and you can just be like, who is this guy? Like he has it in him to do that. Here's from Uncle 10. Ryan Bergert looks sharp again. Ryan Bergert has looked really sharp. Great piece on Fangraphs from Michael Rosen last week about Ryan Bergert having the fact that he has a combination of a high spin efficiency 4-seam fastball that has great vertical action and lives on top of the zone, and multiple breaking balls with plus horizontal movement. It's very hard for pitchers to get both of those because this weird blend of being able to pronate your wrist and then supinates out. Yeah, supinates in. No, pronates in, supinates out. And then be able to get the fastball with that and then also be able to get the sweepers in. Michael Rosen not trying to put this comp out there, but said Jake DeGrom's one of the few guys in baseball who can do things like that. So it's really, really cool that he can do that. Also, Uncle Ted, Hurston Waldrep is dealer. Hurston Waldrep is dealer. Hurston Waldrep looks amazing. He was a feature of my waiver wire article this past week. He had another great start this week. He's completed the 6th inning in every single start he's made this season while allowing 1 or fewer runs in each. I know one start he actually didn't complete 6 innings, but that was because it was a Speedway Classic rain makeup game where he entered the first inning with 1 out and then retired, then got through 5 2/3 innings. But the way that he's now using his cutter, using the sinker, still relying on that splitter, getting depth on that curveball, throwing that slider in a bit more advantageous situations for him, not relying on as much as he had to do last year. it's such a great wide repertoire that could hold up the splitter right now. It's hard to think of other wide repertoire splitter guys just because usually the splitter guys have trouble developing other pitches, but Waldrep right now has been an absolute revelation with that stuff. So I guess I missed this news of Austin Riley coming back. With news of Riley coming back, drop Colson Montgomery or else he's my bench bat. I would keep Colson Montgomery. Like, he's still been blazing hot. Like, I know the Colson Montgomery hot streak is going to be over soon, but I'm still rolling to keep Colson Montgomery because why not? Justine Tangolo got picked up by Boston. Can he regain his hitting in that park? I think probably. I don't know if I'm fully expecting 2024 Nathaniel Lowe to come walking back through that door, but I trust getting out of a chaotic situation, basically a poor situation that was in Washington. This Red Sox team feels invigorated right now. I think that if you see Nathaniel Lowe getting everyday playing time, which is also not a guarantee just because of how Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez have played, like I think Nathaniel Lowe will work his way into everyday playing time, but if he winds up playing 5-6 days a week, he's definitely a 15-team league corner option again. Michael, any trust at all to Sandy Alcantara after his last start against Boston, where he actually pitched well? Can't seem to quit that guy. No, we shouldn't quit that guy because Sandy's been a command issue for this whole season. And that start against Boston, we saw much better command of the secondary pitches, especially the changeup. Sandy went toe-to-toe with Giolito in that Friday night game, and he was really spotting his changeup on the low and outside corners. Like, he was putting that changeup in the places that seemed like he wanted to put it for the first time this year, and actually getting swings and misses on the curveball because he wasn't spiking them 55 feet anymore. He was just throwing them low in the zone for a nice, easy bounce. It was finally the thing that we want to see Sandy Alcantara do, and I was happy that we were able to get that. Next one coming up, Uncle Ted. Give me Abreu over all those closers mentioned. Definitely give me Brian Abreu over all those closers mentioned. Brian Abreu looks like he has an absolute bona fide share of the Astros closer role and is one of the nastiest relievers in the league. Colby Thomas or Cedric Mullins in a 5x5 with hits instead of average. I think I'm rolling with Cedric Mullins. He's been playing every single day for the Mets. His at-bats have been nice, even though the production isn't there, but he's getting some power, some extra base hits as well. I don't really like Colby Thomas very much. Pepio is getting those Ks. That's why I do like Ryan Pepio still. Keep rolling out with it. So let's see. Here we go. Bet on the guy again. Clayton Kershaw turning back the clock this year. Is he worthy of a spot over Clay Holmes, Ryan Nelson, or Colin Ray? Probably Holmes and Ray for the time being. It looks like with Assad and Jameson Taillon rejoining the Cubs rotation, that Colin Ray is the odd man out. And Clay Holmes is the definition of a 5 and dive right now, and the Mets aren't winning that many games. I know they won for him on Sunday night, but if he's only getting 5 innings, it's hard to really trust him a ton. Where Kershaw just looks kind of good. Like, watching him pitch is like he's putting that curveball where he wants it, and he's getting to 90, 91, and just enough to get through as much as he's willing to pitch. So I do like Kershaw. Definitely more than Ray, possibly more than Clay Holmes rest of the season. Got a nice comment here from Frank. Picked up Profar. Thanks, JS. Best hair among fantasy baseball experts. Not much competition there, but thank you. I appreciate that one. Skywalker with a follow-up with Riley coming back. Drop Montgomery for Basayo. Now you're making me think here. With Riley coming back, drop Montgomery for Basayo. The only thing I'm worried about with Riley coming back is that since he injured the same muscle twice in a month, if it happens again. So if that happens again, I'm worried about you not having a third baseman on your roster and someone else scooping up Montgomery. So in this specific instance, I might not do that, but it's enticing for sure. I would think about it hard. Dad, any hope that Aaron Nola will be a viable starter after getting lit up by the Nationals? So Nola getting lit up by the Nationals, we didn't really get lit up. It was a few hard hit balls. It was definitely some deeper counts that he had to do, and it was the fastball velocity dropping below 90 after like 60, 70 pitches again, which that concerns me more than the actual results at the end of the game because it was kind of a silly 6 runs. Like I don't know, like it was some dinks and some dunks, some poorly timed walks, and when the hard hit balls came, they came, and that's how a lot of these things happen. But I'm still hopeful on Aaron Nola. Maybe I'm going to be the last person on this sinking ship, but I'm still hopeful on Aaron Nola. Another one from Basebone. How would you rank Edward Cabrera, Dylan Cease, Hurston Waldrep, and Spencer Strider? I might rank them the way you just ranked them, which is crazy to say about Spencer Strider right now. Maybe I bump Cease to the top just because he's been doing it longer than Edward Cabrera and obviously Hurston Waldrep, but Strider looks so bad in his last couple of starts. The fastball velocity is falling down fast. He's even losing more vertical movement in that pitch, and that's why he's been so ineffective this year and giving up so many home runs and hard hit balls. I'm sitting him this week in some 2-star weeks. Like I don't trust Spencer Strider at all. Edward Cabrera, I'm pretty locked in on. Hurston Waldrep, I love, and Dylan Cease now. He's really widening the repertoire back out, and that's actually helped him find some success over the last few weeks. But it's the time of year where I do really trust Dylan Cease and even Edward Cabrera. And then I guess no more questions. I think I might leave you guys here. Why you on yourself today? Eric's away for the week, taking a much needed hiatus, but thank you guys so much for helping me do this solo show all by myself. Appreciate all the questions. Appreciate all the engagement. Appreciate you guys for being here. Been here all week, all season. I will be back here next Monday. Eric will be back here with me next Monday. I've got my waiver wire column coming out tomorrow. I got my stolen base column coming out on Wednesday. So again, thank you. Thank you. You guys are the best. Can't wait to catch you next time. Peace out.